Believe it or not, the day after the 4th of July, July 5th, Joe Biden is still the president of the United States and still the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. As I told you last week, don't expect him to go anywhere. However, as I told you on Wednesday, Democrats increasingly realize Joe Biden has got to go for them to win in November. And Democrats are increasingly realizing that Joe Biden has no intention of leaving the race. So they're setting conditions. Donors are beginning to withhold money. And they're trying to assess the lay of the land. So here's where we are today. And it is important for me to timestamp it. I'm talking to people right now at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Time on July 5th, 2024. Joe Biden is sitting down about now with George Stephanopoulos to do a pre-taped interview on ABC News that they're going to have to be very careful about editing because any editing is going to suggest ABC is trying to protect Joe Biden. I actually believe George Stephanopoulos is trying to land the fatal blow. George Stephanopoulos is trying to euthanize Joe Biden, to push him very hard. A series of stories are starting to come out, and you know what this reminds me of? Harvey Weinstein. Remember Harvey Weinstein caught up in the Me Too scandal, too big to fail, the head of Miramax, won Academy Awards repeatedly for his films. The most powerful man in Hollywood, who's now in jail. During the Me Too movement, several women came out and they claimed that Harvey Weinstein had sexually assaulted them, raped them, did awful things to them, and that there were others. There were others. Weinstein denied it. Drip, 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 more came. And then more came. And then more came. Pretty soon, Harvey Weinstein found himself indicted and out of a job, and everyone who was Harvey Weinstein's friend pretended they did not know him. It was the drip. It was the cavalcade. A few women came forward, and then suddenly a credible woman comes forward, and then suddenly he's out the door, and now he's in jail. Ironically, he was advised by Anita Dunn. Who is Anita Dunn? Joe Biden's top advisor in the White House. It now turns out reporters are now reporting that for at least 2 years there have been problems with Joe Biden and that people saw it. A senator has remarked that he doesn't want to be known, wants to be anonymous. A senator of the United States of America has come forward and said that, yes, Joe Biden has clearly for some time been out to lunch, has clearly for some time not been quite right in his mind. For some time, Joe Biden has seemed out of it, confused. One former Biden aide told Axios Annie, Ashley, and Anthony created a protective bubble around POTUS. He's staffed so closely, he's lost all independence. He relies on staff to nudge him with reminders of who he's meeting, including former staffers and advisors who Biden should easily remember without a reminder from Annie. What? I don't know who Annie, Ashley, and Anthony are, but Joe Biden is protected by them, and staffers have known it the whole time, and they're only now coming forward saying it. By the way, your vote for Joe Biden means you support democracy while also meaning you support an unelected cabal of people who you don't know running the government because the president is unfit. Really makes you really support democracy, doesn't it? Olivia Nuzzi is out with a piece from New York Magazine. She says in January she was hearing from close Biden friends that he no longer remembered them, and that others working around him at the White House have been shocked to encounter a president so cloistered, so protected, so in a bubble that when staff at the White House meet him who haven't seen him in some time, he doesn't remember him. He loses his train of thought. And I have to tell you, I was critical of Olivia Nuzzi for mentioning this about these conversations she's had with people in January, February, March, all of them. And she replied to me very diplomatically, very politely, very defensively, saying, I would have reported this, but they were all off the record conversations and I had to respect it. Only after the debate did they come forward and say, you know what, you might as well get this out there now. We got to see if we can push him out. So all of these people are admitting they knew he was in mental decline and they covered it up. And reporters, some of them were bound by the agreements they made with people not to report. They didn't say anything. That's a heck of a thing. Y'all, this is like the Harvey Weinstein situation. Harvey Weinstein was invulnerable and powerful. And then he wasn't. And then he wasn't. It's kind of remarkable, actually. What we're seeing in real time is a dam bursting. And Jill Biden, the first lady, it's like, what's the story of the kid who put their finger in the dike in the Netherlands? No, not that. Come on. You know, the dam in the Netherlands, they call them dikes there. We're not, no, stop it. There's a Robin Williams joke there from Good Morning Vietnam. The dikes don't wear comfortable shoes. And suddenly, in this case, Jill Biden is the one trying to plug the hole and keep the water from coming forward, and she can't stop it. The dam is beginning to crack. And part of the issue here is that Joe Biden still really believes that he's not as bad as he is, and that he can still move forward, and that he can still withstand the pressure to go. Here's Lisa Desjardins on PBS. Or not, because I can't actually get her audio going at the moment, which is fine. She essentially is telling PBS reporters that behind the scenes, there is lots and lots of outrage by the Democrats about what they're seeing, and that many of these Democrats have for a long time just grinned and bore it and thought, we have to do this. And now it turns out that's not the case at all. Now it turns out that the Democrats are deeply outraged at the fact that the Biden team has been covering up. And by the way, I do have to say, there are a lot of reporters who seem to be in on it. Peter Baker at the New York Times, he and his wife are both progressives. He will hump Joe Biden's leg with the best of them, and he's got a piece out today in the New York Times essentially saying, Joe Biden may have dementia, but at least we're thinking of replacing him, unlike you all for Republicans, with a convicted felon, and you won't replace him. We're still better than you. Peter Baker has been photographed multiple times with the President of the United States. He probably knew. Now, it's speculation on my part, but when you have that much interaction, you're one of the president's favorite reporters out there, you probably do suspect that there's something not right, and you've kept your mouth shut. Where will the consequences be? Where will this fall? Because what you have right now is much of the media out there claiming, well, we had no idea. And to the extent we knew, we weren't allowed to report it. Where's the accountability? So I said in my morning email, which you can get if you text data to 33777, you can subscribe. You should. The scandal is actually bigger than Joe Biden. The media has deflected on the number of illegal aliens murdering Americans. The media has given the Biden team a pass on saying inflation was transitory. The media has talked up the economy, claimed it's not actually as bad as it is, when actually for the middle class and the poor it actually is. The media has downplayed so much that this administration has done that's not good. Oversold minor things as if they were the greatest thing ever. The media has been complicit in this, and there will not be accountability. They're already defending themselves, saying, oh, of course we reported all this. How dare you suggest we didn't? All they can do is gaslight us. But holy moly, what we are seeing is they all knew. All of them knew. The Democrats knew. The reporters knew. Just like Harvey Weinstein. This is the Democrats' Harvey Weinstein moment. Instead of covering up for a sexual predator, they've covered up for a dementia-addled old man who doesn't know where he is or who his friends are or what he's doing. And he's put in charge of the Defense Department, a Secretary of Defense who disappears. We were promised adults. What we weren't promised were geriatric, dementia-addled senior citizens to be in charge. When they said the adults would be in charge, we didn't realize they meant the ones who are at end of life. Even Olivia Nuzzi in her New Yorker magazine piece today talks about how the president, when she saw him in January, he looked half dead. People were joking. Staffers were joking that he was 40% dead that day or something like that, that he was cold. His eyes looked like there was nothing on behind them. It comes in waves. And there are two larger issues here now. There are two larger, bigger issues. If the president of the United States is not fit to stand for re-election, how is he then fit to continue governing till January of next year? And also, Kamala Harris has been one of the enablers and one of the defenders of Joe Biden, claiming that everything is hunky-dory and just fine. Where's the accountability for Kamala Harris in this? If the Democrats do ditch Biden, she is their only choice. Democratic donors are becoming increasingly agitated and saying they want Harris. Joe Biden says he's going to go to NATO, he's going to go to the conference, and he's going to prove he's fit for office. He's going to sit with George Stephanopoulos. The whole nation can watch it at 8 p.m. tonight. This is like Harvey Weinstein. He was inevitable, unbeatable. And then everyone started coming forward, saying everybody knew all along. And the reason Harvey Weinstein is in jail now is not because of what he did. It's because it became too inconvenient for too many people to pretend they had no idea. And Harvey Weinstein, suddenly, the indispensable man, became very dispensable. The same will happen for Joe Biden now, it seems. As the floodgates have opened, the dam has burst, the water is pouring out, and he's becoming too inconvenient because all the people who've told us, don't believe your eyes, now they've got to protect themselves, and Joe Biden has become very dispensable. These people have to protect their reputations, which means Joe Biden probably does have to go away at this point.